Thank you both for the continued support that you guys express and show the not only fire department but public safety in general. I do want to read this because I don't want to miss anything about what happened that day, and I want to paint a picture. So if you will, just on Saturday morning, March 25th, 2023, Orlando Fire Department Lieutenant Benjamin Woodson was driving his son to a soccer game when he witnessed a horrific crash occur in the rearview mirror. The crash involved a Seminole County Sheriff deputy. Lieutenant Woodson observed the deputy's vehicle collide into a bridge and catch on fire. He immediately turned his vehicle around and jumped into action. Lieutenant Woodson pulled the deputy from the burning vehicle to a safe distance and quickly began assessing the deputy for injuries. He used the deputy's radio to notify Seminole County Sheriff Dispatch that there was an officer down. He provided an accurate location and requested additional fire and medical resources for patient care and fire suppression. The passenger's compartment of the vehicle was completely engulfed in fire. Within seconds of pulling the deputy out, the deputy was transported to a local hospital where he was treated for his injuries. Lieutenant Woodson's acute awareness, decisiveness, courage are a powerful reminder of how firefighters are never truly off duty. Additionally, their training and preparation for situations like this can make a difference when life hangs in the balance. Firefighters willingly put their lives on the line for others. Thankfully, on this day, Lieutenant Woodson was at the right place at the right time with the right skills and was able to save the life of a deputy. Lieutenant Benjamin Woodson III has served with the Orlando Fire Department since 2013. And so that's only 10 years of experience, but he performed like he was a 30-year veteran. He didn't think about it, but he acted intuitively based off of his skills and his training and pretty much what you're trained to do. You don't think about it, but it just comes to you intuitively with your years of experience. I would like to say that he is married to his lovely wife, Sarah Beth Woodson. Would you please stand? And so in speaking to him and speaking to his wife, you know, every one of us comes to work each and every day and we risk our lives. And so, you know, behind every good professional public safety individual, there's always a support structure behind each and every one, whether that's a spouse, a fiance, or family members. And we can't do this job without your support. So I want to make sure that you understand how much we appreciate you for that. Today it is great honor that I honor and present Orlando Fire Department's Life Saving Award to Lieutenant Woodson for his courage, his selflessness, and immediate actions of this day. And I just want to say a little extra about Lieutenant Woodson and speaking with him. So this is about the third or fourth ceremony where he's been recognized. And sometimes when you do something heroic, it almost seems like, how many of these do I have to attend? But let me say this about that, because I think that this is really important. It really means something to somebody, especially the family that he was able to make a difference in. And so for him to be able to be recognized by different individuals, different entities, and receive all these different awards, it's something that you know, you don't experience every day. And with this, I have a conversation with him, and I thank him for his patience and also his family for their patience. But people need to know about the type of work that we do. And what he did isn't anything different than any one of you guys that are first responders would have done given the opportunity. So with that, I'm going to turn it over now at this time to our esteemed guest, Sheriff Dennis Lemma.
Thank you so much, Chief Salazar, for really gathering today for us to pay our respects and tribute to a true American hero that is based right here in Orlando. And it's not every day that we have the opportunity to come down here to a fire department and in the great city of Orlando and to honor one of the men or women that is working for the fire department. But this is a very, very special occasion for not only me as the sheriff of Seminole County, but representing the law enforcement community and all of the citizens of Seminole County to recognize the heroic effort of Lieutenant Woodson. You see, it was that morning that he was off duty, and I'll start there because I remember hearing about the story and getting that call as a sheriff or a police chief or a fire chief. It's the worst call that you could ever imagine receiving, that a beloved member of your organization may be injured, hurt, or even worse, not knowing the exact details of what happened. So as the information is coming in, I talk to a leader within our organization that tells me about Lieutenant Woodson and his heroic efforts. Not only is he taking his family and his children to a soccer match, but he quite literally demonstrates the point that you're never off duty as a public safety professional. He had shared that he made it a habit and a practice that every time he passed a public safety professional, whether it was a fire engine, fire truck, or police officer, he would always pay special attention and conduct some surveillance on that vehicle. And if it were not for him passing Matt on that particular morning and looking in his rear view mirror and watching the vehicle, he would not even have known about the crash and would not have been able to respond. But when the vehicle hit the wall, he immediately spun his car around, family in there, and was there within seconds, literally, to pull Matt from the vehicle, which was completely outfitted with firearms and weapons and ammunition. And some of those things started to explode moments after the car engulfed in flames. And sometimes we talk about the heroic efforts and we say, if it were not for. Sometimes some of those stories can be just slightly exaggerated. But in this particular case, if it was not for Lieutenant Woodson, if there was just 4 or 5 more seconds delayed in his response, this would be an entirely different situation out here. Knowing that he pulled Matt to safety, I called him just 30, 45 minutes after that. He was actually still on his way taking his son to soccer practice. And I told him how incredibly grateful that I was, our organization was, and the citizens of Seminole County for him going clearly above and beyond the call of duty that morning, putting himself in harm's way. And his response to me, I'm going to paraphrase a quote, it's simply what we do. With the highest level of humility, asking for nothing in return, just wanting to go on about his business. And that is a true reflection of a hero. To see your family here, Lieutenant, and to have your children and your wife and your community see that this public service in the fire department is such a noteworthy and honorable profession. And the difference that is made is reflected in people's lives. I know that I and the 500,000 citizens of Seminole County, the 1,400 members of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, and probably most importantly, the Luxon family who is here. Matt, join me up here as we present this. I know you got to wobble up here, but Matt is... Matt's mom and dad are here in the audience, and his family is so incredibly grateful. But to look at in less than 3 months ago, you look at the horrific images of that vehicle crash, and you see Matt being able to walk up here and stand next to Lieutenant Woodson is nothing short of remarkable. And I think that Matt said the last time we had a ceremony here, he says, look, he goes, as a policing professional and a deputy sheriff, I never knew that my hero would come from the fire department and come out here and do it. And it's a true reflection of what goes on, how incredibly grateful we are, how happy that we are to kind of connect the dots and see you recognized and awarded for your heroic efforts. So with that, I'd like to present to you, on behalf of myself and the citizens of Seminole County, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office Life-Saving Award to Benjamin Woodson for your heroic efforts and doing all that you could possibly do on that day that you are technically off to save the life of one of our deputies. And you're a great ambassador for your community and your profession, and you have a lot to be proud of as you stand here in front of your family, friends, and community. God bless you.
One other individual that was there that day, Lieutenant Bradley Dickey, Seminole County.
Thanks to Chief Salazar and Sheriff Lima for telling that story. You guys did a pretty good job, and I told myself I wasn't going to say anything, but there's a few details I feel like they really need to be said. You know, you guys, the rest of the firemen here, you guys can kind of attest to this. Seeing a scene like that is not something you want to pull up to. You know, the fact that we were responding and we just knew we were going to a vehicle accident and we didn't know what it was, and to see up and pull up and see that scene of an SO vehicle burning, I think all of our hearts sank right in that moment. And all we could see was the vehicle burning, and you know, it's something that you'll never forget, seeing that. And the outcome that happened because of the sole actions of Lieutenant Ben Woodson, I can't even describe it. The fact that he was able to get that door open of that car, I mean, we've seen those wrecks time and time again. I know this is a little bit more of a personal level here, but it was unbelievable. You could do it all the time, and it won't happen like that again. The fact that he was had the wherewithal and the ability to get that door open and get him out of the car is remarkable. So seriously, thank you. On behalf of the Seminole County Fire Department, we want to present you the award for your action that day.
Okay, this is the part where Lieutenant Woodson gets to tell it from his perspective.
Well, for the story itself, there's not much more to tell than what they've already elaborated on. We're running late to a soccer game due to my son taking his time putting his socks on. And because of that, it put us in a predicament where we were able to be in passing by with Matt, and have that opportunity to see him in my rearview mirror. As sheriffs mentioned before, I typically look at emergency vehicles as they go by to see where they're going, and I was able to witness the incident. And with the timeline, we pull up on scene, the door opened up just wide enough for my body, his body to squeeze out of. And due to the fractures in his leg, it was able to pull him out of the seat. As I'm pulling him out, there were embers already coming through the firewall. There was already flames through the engine bay drifting down onto the ground. Within probably 15 seconds of me pulling him out of the vehicle, it went fully involved in the passenger compartment and was starting to proceed towards the cargo area. Probably within another 15 to 20 seconds, Good Samaritan started to arrive on scene, and they lended me a knife and a seatbelt cutter. And as I was looking at which one to utilize due to his, essentially his he was completely disoriented, and his arms were falling around. I didn't want to risk cutting him with a knife, so I used a seatbelt cutter to remove his clothes. And by the time I got his clothes off, the first arriving Seminole County Sheriff arrived, assisted with getting his firearm off, was able to get his duty belt off, assess him further for any injuries, and at that time, his patrol cruiser started igniting with bullets in the back. They used the first cruiser to create a shield. By then, the first arriving rescue assisted with getting him onto a backboard, onto the stretcher, and as they're rolling him into the back of the rescue, I was looking for bug goo to get my hands clean, wash off the blood, and the only thing I could find was a tourniquet. And at that moment, I started putting a tourniquet on. They asked if I was going to go with them. I let them know that my son was still in the car. But everything from the moment of seeing the crash to FD leaving with Matt, everything was completely seamless. There was no hiccups whatsoever, and that was truly from the grace of God. There's no way any other outcome would have been without him. But I do want to say thank you for everyone for being here today. Thank you for Chief Salazar, Sheriff Lima, Lieutenant Dickey, and Matt for y'all's considerations. I definitely want to say thank you to my family for their constant support. As being a first responder, it generally adds stress to any family dynamic. I definitely want to say thank you to Orlando Fire Department for the training that we received, the experience that we received, that we use in our daily lives on and off duty. Without that type of training, all this wouldn't be here today. And ultimately, I do want to thank God for giving Matt a second breath to live life. Because of him, Matt is still with us today. It is quite humbling seeing the outreach support for doing what's right. Words can't express my gratitude for that. If there are any takeaways from all of this, I hope it's to inspire others to get involved, to do what's right, those challenging moments give us the opportunity to grow and to have a positively impactful meaning to other people's lives. And with that, thank you for being here.
And he did talk about his family and how important that is. Sir, would you come up?
Thank you everyone for joining us today. That concludes our ceremony. We do have some light refreshments in the rear of the bay here, so we invite you to partake of those. And please stay a while to chat, make some new friends, or get acquainted with some old friends. But thank you everyone for being here today.